All right, folks, on this show, we've often talked about Hollywood and the treatment of African Americans. And so, of course, we have a number of folks who may very well win big at the Oscars this year. But the 4th annual Hollywood Diversity Report is out, and there is some improvement, yet African Americans are still trailing behind their white counterparts in many of the categories. In the U.S. and Canada, total box office for 2015 was $11.1 billion. People of color bought 45% of all movie tickets sold in the United States. In the same year, the report finds that blacks were underrepresented nearly 3-to-1 in film lead roles, nearly 4-to-1 among directors, by more than 7-to-1 among writers. All of this despite films with African-American lead characters such as Straight Outta Compton. Of course, we also are seeing movies this year, whether it's Moonlight, whether it's Hidden Figures, whether it's Fences. Of course, you also have Birth of a Nation that wasn't nominated for an Oscar, was nominated for several NAACP Image Awards, and a host of other films. The question still remains, what will Hollywood do when it comes to embracing inclusion? And also this lie they keep telling about liberal Hollywood. But please show me whenever there's some evidence of that. Joining us via Skype from New York, Alexis McGill Johnson, co-founder of the Perception Institute, a consortium of researchers, advocates, others who use science research on race and gender to find solutions to reduce bias. Alexis, your analysis of the Bunch report.
You know, look, I think, we have a long way to go in terms of getting representation in Hollywood as well as in politics, per your last conversation, and representation really matters. I think this season what we saw, though, is something very interesting in terms of the folks who are being highlighted, which is just a much more nuanced expression of Black humanity in a way that, we're not being put into these caricature type roles. And I think that actually will have more impact on the way we perceive African Americans than anything. And so we have a long way to go. I think the Bunch report highlights a lot of the really important structural challenges around building pipelines and dismantling systemic racism within Hollywood. But I do believe that if we celebrate some of the nuanced roles, it will actually mean a lot more in terms of moving beyond just counter stereotyping.
Well, bottom line is this report lays out essentially, it deals with power, and that is who's in charge. No African American has ever run a film studio in Hollywood. There are very few individuals even in a remote position to green light a film. All of that impacts who the director is. It impacts the lead role. All of that. Hollywood still, despite 45% of all movie tickets being bought by people of color, Hollywood still has a belief that African Americans can't be in the lead role. And so, every single lie that Hollywood has trotted out has been disproven, yet they still will not provide a level of opportunity in order to have parity.
That's absolutely right. I mean, this is a structural analysis of power, who gets to make the decisions and who doesn't. And I think that, we also have power on our side. We are consumers. We have to make sure that we go out. One of the things that I think was really critical this season was the number of communities coming together and pooling their resources to send schools, to send kids, to send all kinds of folks to see like a movie like Hidden Figures, who wouldn't otherwise experience it. And so I think we can show with consumer power, and these again are the same arguments that we've been using for decades, but we need to start thinking about how to channel that consumer power into demanding more VP and executive roles, people who have that green light power.
Greg, I made the point about, when you talk about Hollywood and power, I don't want to hear the crap about liberal Hollywood. Okay, that's a fallacy. The reality is Hollywood is extremely conservative. Hollywood is very much focused on appealing to a white audience. You hear the examples when they say, we can't take films overseas because they don't do well. The world is 2/3 people of color. How are you trying to explain to me a movie featuring black folks can't do well overseas? People don't understand. These are the flat out lies that Hollywood constantly tells. A refusal to greenlight films, a refusal to also approve additional money, larger budgets as well. And so you still have a serious problem when it comes to black folks in Hollywood.
Absolutely. And Hollywood may miss the boat, Roland. I mean, while we hope that we get some awards, and I'm looking for La La Land to wipe everybody out, so we don't get get too excited, y'all. I do hope Brad Young gets that best Oscar for cinematography for his work on Arrival. But your point is very important. Hollywood needs to understand they're fragmenting now. You know, the platforms are diversifying. Ava DuVernay's 13th, up for an Oscar, was released straight to Netflix. These young people are now doing other kind of work. I Am Not Your Negro. You had, of course, Raoul Peck on this show. You know, Raoul Peck comes out of Haiti. He's in France. He's international. Look, when you look at what's going on, and 45% of the minorities buy tickets here and the theater tickets, but they make their money overseas. These films get released overseas, and they dwarf what they make domestically.
And the bottom line is they're not releasing the films that star black folks overseas.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I think the accountability thing is key. I mean, you've done it with the Senate diversity issue. You're doing it here. This accountability thing is great. I agree, hey, folks should buy tickets in terms of the right places, but we've got to hold power accountable here. And again, we look sometimes at the behind-the-scenes things as though it's irrelevant. Like, these are the people who are calling the shots, like these structural folks.
When you continue to give them your money?
I think you've got to call folks out. I think you've got to call studios, talent agencies, these other folks that are really controlling. Again, we're focused on kind of eye candy of who's in the lead role in terms of an actor, and it's the behind-the-scenes folks.
Alexis, I'll give you an example straight out of Compton. I'm like, Shelley, go to my iPad, please. This is the box office mojo. 79.9% of the money the movie made. It made $201 million worldwide, but 80% of its money came in the United States. 40 million came foreign. First of all, that's even shocking because typically they won't even take a movie overseas. But that number also tells me, if you look at the explosion of rap music across the world, that number also tells me the kind of job they didn't do in marketing that film overseas.
That's right.
Absolutely. No, I wonder, if we look at an example of like the Grammys, right? Chance the Rapper, he had his own independent platform. There are, even though there's still corporate, Netflix, Amazon, there are other platforms that are starting to exist where I think we can start building our power and mobilizing it in different ways. We can't always go to the Fox Studios and the Universal Studios and think about how they're going to release these things. We need to start strategizing and really map out where is our consumer power and how are we going to use our organizing power around that. I think that's absolutely really critical. And I would actually just add one more thing that, oftentimes we talk about the leads and we talk about the roles and the nuances of the characters. There's also this challenge around kind of what does the background look like? What is the background actors? If we just have a lead and we don't have a community behind them that actually reflects the growing diversity of America, are we really preparing ourselves for the rapidly changing demographics in this country? And I think I want to see more realism in the films that actually show the reality of what's happening.
The bottom line is you're not going to see that realism because you walk on a Hollywood set, trust me, you are not going to see a lot of folks or people of color. In fact, I'll give you a perfect example. One of the areas when it comes to jobs, you talk about on the PR side. We've gone on numerous movie junkets and you literally have all white PR staffs who don't even know black journalists. They have to actually hire an outside firm, which is fine, entrepreneurial standpoint, for those businesses. They have to hire an outside firm to go out and contact and reach out to African American media to bring them in on movie junkets because the studios have no clue. They have no clue. And when I go on these movie junkets, I see very few African Americans, and if I do, they're working for an independent firm, not for the movie studio. Alexis, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.